Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to talk about what happened last night, and it's going to be available for a while now. The Deer Hunter did a special Act 3 film performance up to their Pillar, Pillar account. It's like a Patreon. It's like their own. There might be a few other artists on there, but they're the primary one that I know. Most people, of course, use Patreon, but they had done it for Act 1, and I've got that here, and then I just got the Act 2 vinyl. That was, I want to say it was like 2 years ago. I don't know, it was a year, I forget. What they did is they have the whole band, and they go to this, like, it looks like a theater or something. It's a theater or something. They're on, like, a stage or some room where they could shoot film, and they performed every song from Act 1 originally, which is like 35 minutes, then Act 2, I can't remember what year. Was this last year? It was either last year or 2022. Well, it was 2023. It was last year. So they did it. This is the 2009 was the release of Act 3. I should get it. I should pull it out right here. It was the 15th anniversary of Act 3. So they decided to do a performance of Act 3, Life and Death. So it was much like the other two. I think in some ways it was even better. They had little like titles, card titles on the performance. It was black and white, and this is kind of spoiling it, but went to color after like the first chapter, I think it was, or like a Wizard of Oz thing. A couple other surprises again. Spoiler alert. They brought in Andrew Brown, who was a member of the Deer Hunter in the early days. I want to say at least for the touring cycle of Act 2 and Act 3. I think around the time he left around the color spectrum. But he played keyboards because, of course, Gavin Castleton's not with them anymore. And this guy named Austin Early is their, I think his name is, he's done some of them. But, they had Andrew come in and perform with them to do this performance. I mean, there's no crowd there. It was just the band, and it was filmed. And the other kind of big surprise, again, spoiler alert, it's up on the Pillar to watch on demand if you just want to join the Pillar, and then you can watch it any time for like at least a month. I think maybe permanent for the Pillar members. But then on next week, on Tuesday, May 14th, it will be available to just pay to watch. You don't have to join the Pillar. But Go Get Your Gun, which I did my review on the series of the Deer Hunter. I haven't done my song rankings, but I did the album rankings and did review of every the Deer Hunter album, including Act 3, of course, a couple of years ago. It was like a year and a half ago. Has always been the sort of red herring track, and I'm not alone in that feeling. But they had a Q&A after like a live stream, the 4 of the 5 members of the Deer Hunter. They did a completely different arrangement of it. It was like a crooner lounge jazzy version almost, and it was really cool. Like I'm like, this is, I mean, Go Get Your Gun I've always struggled with. I mean, it's not the worst song ever. It's probably not the worst song the Deer Hunter ever did, but I know people that like it. But the way they did it on the live performance they filmed it was on last night. And on the Pillar, it was really cool, and it really worked in a lot of ways. So, kind of reminds me of some of the way they redid a few of the songs on Migrant, actually. So yeah, I mean, this is a magical album in a lot of ways. 2009, it came out it was like June 23rd, the same day the Kiss, Mars Volta, the Dream Theater, and like one other album came out the same day. June 23rd, 2009. It's right around the time that Michael Jackson, unfortunately, passed away. And I remember there was a video of the whole band talking about, at that time, their Michael Jackson memories. But as far as Act 3 and everything, I've always liked it. At the time, I thought it might have been my favorite in some ways. I'm saying for Go Get Your Gun. Because I love Act 2 and Act 1. But, I mean, I have to admit, I mean, it's splitting hairs. They have a super consistent catalog, the Deer Hunter. They're an exception in modern bands. They put out whatever it is. There's really not a bad album. Every album is very good to just amazing or masterpiece levels. But Act 3, I've found that like while it has a lot of songs I love, it's more greater than the sum of its parts in some ways. But I don't go back to it as much because it doesn't have as many go-tos as some of the other records, like Act 4 or Act 2, I suppose would be the ones I think of. But you know, like Mustard Gas and This Beautiful Life. I forgot how amazing that song is. How just breathtaking that track is. What It Means to Be Alone, Writing on a Wall. You know, and the thing is, then the closing side, you know, after Go Get Your Gun, Son, Father, and Life and Death especially just brings me to tears. You know, one of these days he will learn to love again. And it kind of hit me that, you know, they did the Fox and the Hunt, which was like string arrangements, interpretation somewhat of the Act 4 and Act 5 songs. That song, Life and Death, I haven't looked at their playlist when they toured with the Awesome Orchestra, that string section, would totally lend to being played with a string section. That motif that I was just singing, you know, one of these days he will learn. I could hear it in my head. Oh, it would just be sublime. But that being said, it was magical. The clarity they used. Glockenspiel. Max was using an electric sitar at one point. You know, Nick S. Sauce, as they call him. He looked weird because he didn't have a beard anymore. He had like a handlebar mustache. But so yeah, it was really good. I mean, you know, the people that have seen the first two that signed up for the Pillar and saw them, even like myself, just short term, you get your money's worth, and it's just, you need to see it. It's eventually going to show up on Spotify, hopefully, and you know, of course, they're going to press like they did with Act 2 here. They'll press a vinyl for that. And then, so that's the other thing I found out about, you know, like during and after the chat, that they're hoping to look to do the same thing for the color spectrum. They may do like, I don't know, in 2026 maybe would be the 15 year. I don't know. So, all, you know, 2.5 hours and all whatever it is, what is it, 20, it's 9 EPs and there's like, whatever it is, 36 songs. I mean, they did do it at that performance, the live album and everything, but it'd be interesting to see it done this way and some 15 years later or whatever it would be. But they showed a trailer for an upcoming documentary they're making, which is going to include some music, I guess. Like I don't know, an EP's worth of music, of new original music. That will not be, I guess, on Sunya. But Sunya also, like Casey, and people ask, of course, what's the projection on that? It's looking like maybe the fall or winter. And they're thinking with Antimai, they were so frustrated with releasing it and wanting the vinyl to be available soon after. It took forever. They may just, they said that Casey just mentioned that they may just end up putting it up, you know, just digitally or whatever initially, and then press the vinyl soon after, or, you know, hopefully it won't be. I don't know. You know, I just feel so bad about the vinyl and like these packages and all this and delays, and people have had to wait. I mean, the fans kind of just apologize for it, but I'm sure it really irks Casey, this whole process with vinyl and the timing of it. It's like, you know, not everyone is Metallica who has their own vinyl pressing plant, but yeah, that's hopefully Sunya is going to end up. There's some clips on this. If you join the Pillar, you get to actually hear clips from Sunya, just little like video clips and stuff like that. But the documentary could be sooner. I thought they said like the summer maybe, because the trailer's on there and it's cool. It's like footage of them making music and some other stuff, maybe the history of the band a little bit, and then, like I said, like some new music that will be accompanied with like an EP. I don't know if it'll be like the Indigo Child or something like that, but I think that's it. Yeah, that's basically. I think I wrote a few notes down here, but it was really good. It was just. I mean, I'm a fanboy. I love this band. I've loved them for whatever it is, going on 17 years now. My first the Deer Hunter show was about 17 years ago, a few weeks ago at First Avenue with Saves the Day, Say Anything, and Megan Dia. But yeah, I mean, if you're even like a reasonable fan, it's totally worth checking this out. And if you do join the Pillar, I believe you can also check out Act 1 and Act 2. So. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's pro shot. It was like really, really well made and everything. It looks it was like upped from the Act 1, Act 2 ones, which were, just sublime themselves. So, and I imagine, if they're going to continue this process, well, they'll end up doing it for they'll do some sort of special Act 4 and maybe Act 5 at some point as well. Act 4 would be 10 years in 2025. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it takes them a fair amount of time and work. Unfortunately, they also had the announcement that they were going to be going on tour to go down to Australia and New Zealand to play with Toe Hider, and I had the wrong band. It was not Thank You Scientist. It was Thank You Scientist. It's Closure in Moscow, but they had to cancel that due to, I don't know, they're going to eventually find out, tell us more about the details. Their touring limitations in the short term, at least, maybe just in America or North America, unfortunately, due to some health concerns. But they're going to, but you know, the plans with the documentary, and they probably still will tour. I would think still they would want to tour. Yeah, there's going to be like the documentary, or is it like the Antimai tour? It's going to cover some of the Antimai tour, which I guess technically we didn't even see here. We got ours was the Return to Migrant Return tour. So that'd be kind of interesting for myself to watch. I mean, there's clips on YouTube, of course, but some of the Antimai stuff. I told Casey, I was like, it was awesome when I met him after the show briefly. It was awesome. He said he wasn't too sure. I was like, no. Although, you know, the fact that we didn't see in Minnesota the Deer Hunter come here for the Antimai tour. Next time, maybe you guys can play some Antimai songs. So, but anyway, what's your take on the Deer Hunter? Are you going to check out the live Act 3 Life and Death? You know, on Pillar, or you know, did you pick up? I guess this was like you got first dibs. This is going. I don't know if it's available already. It might be, but it was available first to the Pillar people. That's when I signed up. I got this. But are you going to check out the Act 2 live? I mean, the songs are similar, but they're not identical. It's very much of a live feel. That's the thing about these live performances they've done. And if you like the Deer Hunter and you're a fan of the acts, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Even if you're more a fan of studio over live, it's still kind of, depending on how much of a fan, unless you just completely just blow off live albums, you're like, well, I listened to it once and that's it. But anyway, I'd love to hear from you about that. I got a couple more videos I want to make. The Minnesota prog list, I'm getting close to being able to get going with. I've listened to Gypsy the last couple days. And the review of so a couple of reviews. I don't know about the Dreamy or Matt Page album yet, but the Darren King, the DK, the drummer album, I probably will try to make a video of maybe later today or tomorrow. So, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.